There are two Psalms in the Bible that wrestle with this same question. Why does evil seem to be so blessed and they get away with so much, but the believers have a rough time? So Psalm 10, I think this is probably from King David. And I also call it the 5 characteristics of wicked people. By the way, the other answer to is, where is the God of judgment? Why doesn't God just put the wicked to death right now? You know what the problem is with that? In God's sight, all sin is evil. So, God has in the Bible, in the Old Testament, you break the Sabbath, you deserve death. Have all of you been to church faithfully through your life? In the Old Testament, you know the commandment, honor your father and mother. Do you know what happens if you didn't honor your parents in the Old Testament? The penalty was death. If you murder, you know what the penalty is? So the bottom line is, if God literally said, hey, everyone that sins, because sin is evil and rotten and leads to horrible things, whether you lie, whether you lust, immorality, sexual immorality, worshiping other gods, saying the Lord's name in vain, if I put to death all the people that do evil, who of us would be left? None of us. So, anyway, Psalm 10. Why, Lord? So King David said, why, Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? So it seems like the Lord's far off for the believer. Verse 2, now he's going to describe the wicked. In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak, who are caught in the schemes he devises. He boasts about the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles the Lord. In his pride, the wicked man does not seek him. In all his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. Your laws are rejected by him. He sneers at all his enemies. He says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. He swears, no one will ever do me harm. His mouth is full of lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He lies in wait near the villages. From ambush, he murders the innocent. I couldn't help but to think about the unborn children. Murders the innocent. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. Like a lion in cover, he lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off in his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. He says to himself, God will never notice. He covers his face and never sees. Arise, Lord, lift up your hand, O God. Do not forget the helpless. Why does a wicked man revile God? Why does he say to himself, he won't call me to account? So let me give you the 5 traits, the 5 characteristics of wicked people. Number 1, the wicked are prideful and arrogant. You'll see that in verse 2. In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak. Verse 3, he boasts about the cravings of his heart. Verse 6, he says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. The wicked are arrogant and prideful, and they are their own God. Number 2, the wicked are liars. I see this in verse 7. His mouth is full of lies and threats. Number 3, the wicked are greedy. Verse 3, he boasts about the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy. They're greedy for money and power. Number 4, the wicked are violent. Oh boy, that's in a lot of verses here. I got sick about the thing in Kansas. That more people are voting to give permission to bring the end of life to the most innocent of humans. But that's where we're going in our country. And all these people now are going to stand before God and answer. You remember when Cain killed Abel, it says Abel's bloods. It's in the plural. The Hebrew is in the plural because when someone dies, you end all the potential children they could have had. And so when the people in Kansas voted, yes, we vote that babies can be killed, they have to answer for those babies growing up and having babies, and those babies growing up and having babies. And that's why the judgment's at the end of time, and that's why it's very scary. And this is how wicked so verse 2, the wicked man hunts down the weak who are caught in the schemes he devises. Down in verse 8, he lies in wait near the villages. From ambush, he murders the innocent. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. Like a lion in cover, he lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off in his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. The wicked are godless. They are godless. This is the fifth thing. Verse 4. In his pride, the wicked man does not seek him. He doesn't seek God. In all his thoughts, there is no, I love how this says it, there's no room for God. You know, this reminds me of when Joseph and Mary arrived at Bethlehem, and they went to the inn, and what did they hear? There's no room. The wicked are like, you know what? I don't have room in my thoughts for you, God. And there's no room for you in my life. That's what the wicked are. You know it when you witness to people. I don't have room for Jesus. I don't have room for God. I'm so full of myself. There's no room left. Verse 5. His ways are always prosperous. Your laws are rejected by him. They reject the 10 Commandments, the wicked. I'm not going to church. I don't honor the Lord on the Sabbath. I can use the Lord's name in vain all I want, and I don't care one bit. Sure, I'm going to worship other gods, a god of money, power, sex, whatever it is. I don't care about my parents. Lock them away. Ignore them. Yes, I'm going to vote for murder. Yes, I lie. I lie all the time. Yes, I'm sexually immoral. I lust. I can't tell you. I mean, it's like 75, 80% of men watch pornography. Yes, I lust. I covet. I don't follow the 10 Commandments. I'm not interested in them. They're not part of my belief system. Down in verse 11, he says to himself, some call this the inner dialogue. You know, we're always talking to ourselves, okay, right? Hopefully you're talking to yourself as opposed to talking to that person that doesn't exist or something by you. or you're talking to the Lord. But the wicked says to himself, God will never notice. He covers his face and never sees. You know, I get away with this. I get away with it. He doesn't notice. It's a big earth. It's a big world. There's so many people. God does not notice the evil that I'm doing. Verse 13, the wicked man reviles God, and he says to himself, he won't call me to account. This is like an atheist. Like, I don't have room for God. He doesn't know me. I'm just a speck in time. God has and I don't believe in a judgment. I do not believe that I'm ever going to stand and answer for the decisions I make. I just don't believe that, okay? And so that is the wicked. Verse 15. Well, verse 14. But you, God, see the trouble of the afflicted, the believers. You consider their grief and take it in hand. The victims commit themselves to you. You are the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked man. Call the evildoer to account for his wickedness that would not otherwise be found out. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations will perish from his land. You, Lord, hear the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed, so that mere earthly mortals will never again strike terror. So there is a day of judgment coming, and there is a day when the wicked will be cast into hell, and then there'll be a new heaven and a new earth.